So this is the RX 9070 XT and I am upgrading from a 3070. Now would I call this an upgrade? Well, we will see at the end of the video, so stay tuned. So I wanted a new graphics card for better performance. Now I do have a good CPU like the Ryzen 7 5800X 3D, which is a beast in gaming. We will see how this holds up against it or with it. So we might see some bottleneckings or we might not. And this card is big. It's probably the biggest GPU I've ever had. It almost doesn't fit in my case. That's how big it is. So if we press Windows R, which brings up the run command, and type in appwiz.cpl, this will bring up the uninstalling program in the control panel. We're just going to uninstall the NVIDIA app. Then we install an application called DDU, which is like a driver uninstaller. So this application will let you uninstall all the display drivers that you have. So when you install your new graphics card, those drivers might be colliding and it will just create a lot of problems. So you got to uninstall your driver first before you install your new GPU. Now we boot into safe mode by holding shift while restarting. And in this section we gotta press F4, and if you're on a 60% keyboard you have to press and hold FN while pressing 4, and this will boot you into safe mode. It should say on the bottom right safe mode. That's how you know you're in safe mode. So now we're just gonna run the application. This works on AMD and NVIDIA. Make sure you guys select the graphics card and select clean and shut down. So this will clean out your drivers and automatically shut down your PC. So select NVIDIA if you have NVIDIA and select AMD if you have AMD. So now it's doing its thing. So it's going to uninstall all the drivers and then it's going to automatically shut down. So at this point you want to remove your old graphics card and install the new one. So you got to just hold those clips in and squeeze a little bit and pull it out. So there's a clip on the motherboard where I'm pointing at, and you just got to push down and aim it to the right so it clips out, and then you want to unscrew the screws on the bracket, and you can just see by the difference how big this graphics card is. It's so massive. However, the 3070 surprisingly is heavier than the new graphics card that I have, which is a bit crazy. I guess they're making graphics cards more lighter. So we have our GPU support, and it looks like it just hooks onto the bracket of the graphics card where we screw it in like that, and that's what it looks like, and we just screw it in just like that. It's a neat feature and it comes with longer screws. However, I didn't use them because they were too thick and wouldn't fit in my screw holes. Here's the new graphics card. So I had to turn over the PCIe ports and just plug it in just like that, so it's a bit of a tight fit. However, I did upgrade my PSU. I will continue on the end of the video on what happened and the reason of why I upgraded. So the moment of truth will just boot up. Okay, that's a good sign. GPU fans are spinning, which is good. And yeah, we get a display. That's a very good sign. So we're just gonna log in real quick. We're gonna check on device manager by pressing Windows key and R, and that will bring up the run command prompt. And then you just type in dev mgmt.msc, and that will bring up the device manager. And then we just want to check on display adapters, and it says Microsoft base adapter, but that will change eventually, which is still a good sign. So we're just going to install the drivers, and this was a hassle. And then my screen just starts flashing. I just looked at my PC and I'm like, what the hell, my heart dropped. And then when it reconnects, I quickly go in device manager and see if we got the proper reading, and as we can see, an RX 9070 XT. So as we run the application, we're going to be prompted to UAC, and all we have to do is just click on yes. It will just start installing the drivers. My other monitor went to horizontal for some reason, so we're just going to quickly change that. First of all, we're going to have to identify which number the monitor is. So as we do click on identify, it is number 2, and we just click on number 2, flip it, and then put it on portrait, and there we go, that's the problem fixed. Make sure you click accept and install the driver. So we got an error, I don't know why. So we're just going to open up amd.com and like it says, and just install the auto detect and just install it through there. It does look different, however it's the same process. You just have to click install and it should detect your hardware and install the drivers for you. So it looks like it has installed successfully, and get this fucking Discord out of there. And there we go, this is the UI. I mean, I haven't seen this in a couple of years because I did switch to AMD before in a very long time. We're just going to load up Black Ops. And yeah, there's already an error. Purchase Black Ops 7. This wasn't here before. forcing us to buy Black. I have to go all the way to the game section just to boot up Black Ops 6. Anyways, then I started getting, oh, your friends hit Prestige 1. Your friends hit Prestige 1. Update requires restart. 90 ping. It took me literally 5 minutes just to find a match in Black Ops 6. Just how dead this game is. As you guys can see, we're getting 250 frames. However, this was capped. As I uncapped the frame rate, we're getting about 300 to 340 frames per second. And this is a huge impact. However, I was getting something on my GPU. It was something called coil whining. And yeah, coil whining is so loud. I'll let you guys take a listen. So you guys heard that for yourselves. It is pretty bad. However, I did do a stress test. It was quieter than what I was running in Black Ops. However, it was still loud. I could still identify the coil whining. So I decided to get a new PSU, an 850 watt, just to make sure the coil whining stops or reduces by a lot. So we're just going to unbox this. We get the power cable, we get all the other cables like the CPU, the 24 pin. And we do have a new one, which I'm not familiar with. We do get some zip ties, so that's a very big bonus. Like, I didn't expect to get zip ties. And we have the unit itself. It's the same size as my old one. It's fully modular. So I had to plug in the power cables, and yeah, it was a bit of a pain because I was doing it with one hand as I was recording. So here's the 650 watt. That is probably most likely why my GPU was coil whining, but we'll see. So we have OCCT running to stress test the GPU, and it's on 300 watts. And let's just listen for the coil whining. So that is much better. I had to pump up the volume a lot so you guys can hear the graphics card. It is very quiet even on the load, so I would say that's a win. Now I'm running, which is hopefully going to be game of the year, KCD2, and I'm getting about 250 frames in the church, which is a new DLC, and we're inside, so there's more performance obviously. But let's go outside. I did undervolt my GPU just because of the coil whining, see if that improved. It did improve a little bit, however it wasn't a big difference. So we're just gonna go outside and see how well the GPU does. So we're outside and we're getting about 180 to 200 frames per second. I am in the middle of Kuttenberg, and yeah, this game is amazing. So looking at temperatures seem really good on load. 70 on the memory, 60 on the hotspot, 48 normally. That is one of the coolest graphics cards I ever had. I know it's brand new, however that is still really good. So should you guys get this card? And if you got the money, I would highly recommend you get this, especially with the prices of Nvidia, where the 5070 Ti, which is equivalent to this card, costs almost £400 more. So I would highly recommend you guys get this card. It's probably one of the best cards in 2025. Obviously it's not the best performing card, but who's spending almost 2,000 on a graphics card? I don't think anyone is in their normal lives, unless you're rich.